Hey guys, Scott back again with a new beer dissection video for you this evening. What I have today is from Lagunitas Brewing Company out in Petaluma, I believe, California, is Little Sumpin Sumpin. Okay, not a brand new beer. I think they got distribution across most of the country. But like I said, I've always liked to do some of the nano farm, really small microbreweries, but I also like to do some of these larger brands that are maybe not quite big beer like Budweiser and stuff. I don't know if Lagunitas has been bought out by Budweiser or not. I don't track every single brand of beer, but they've been around for a while. I've never actually had Little Sumpin Sumpin, which is actually surprising to me because I've had their regular IPA, and I think they had another IPA. They all get ranked pretty high in Beer Advocate. And this one, I didn't look up too much about it, but it was still ranked up pretty high with that. So it is an IPA. It's at 52 IBUs, international bitterness units. Remember, that's creating some of the bitterness to the beer. But again, I usually like to tell you about perceived bitterness versus, the IBU units, right? That's more important, contrasting the malt. So I won't go down that wormhole too much this evening on that, but I have discussed that with most of my IPA videos. So what's also interesting about this particular one, I'll probably have it popping over my shoulder, it's brewed with about 50% malted barley, probably a two-row barley, as well as 50% wheat, which is a little unusual for IPAs unless it's kind of New England IPAs, which kind of gives it that haziness. Because this one, I believe I looked real quick, they're using Chinook, Cascade, and Columbus hops, your standard Pacific Northwest hops. So I'm believing, again, I haven't had this one in particular. I've had the regular IPA from Lagunitas. But it's going to be more of like a West Coast IPA versus, say, like your New England IPA or your hazy/juicy IPAs. I think I told you 7.5% alcohol. And that's all I have. Like I said, the interesting thing is it uses wheat along with the barley and, again, some of those Pacific Northwest hops. All right, so like I have with most of my IPAs is my kind of tulip/oversized snifter glass. Again, I've said this on a few videos. You like that wide body there to add some surface area to the beer to allow the hop aromas to kind of come up to the top and narrow down a little bit so you can kind of really perceive it, especially if you're spending a lot of money on some of these IPAs. I mean, this one's not really out of a high price point compared to some of these smaller breweries that are in like 16-ounce cans that are 10% and stuff like that. So this is usually a highly distributed beer that you can get pretty readily in most of your local beer stores. Okay, so let's crack this bad boy open. Okay. And I got my opener from Center Ice Woodworking, who did give me the Rush beer, if you haven't seen that video, a rye blonde ale that I did a video on, if you're a fan of Rush. Okay, so let's pour this bad boy. This one I actually have had out for a little while before I started filming this video to really warm up. You really like some of these beers slightly warmer, to allow, some of those aromatics to come through, but not as warm as, say, like some stouts and things like that. But I'll save that for another video. Let me just get that out of the way from us. Let's take a look at this. So I got a nice, very clear, light to medium gold color beer. Really no haze at all. I was actually expecting a little bit because wheat usually has more protein in it, which kind of gives you some of that haze and cloudiness, again, why they use that in a lot of New England IPAs as well as oats. Again, this is not a New England IPA. I'm presuming this is more of a West Coast IPA, or at least American IPA. About a half inch. I didn't pour it too aggressively, about a half inch of kind of white, head on there. But again, very clear. I can almost see myself through the other side. We're getting some nice nucleation bubbles coming up from the bottom of the glass. This glass probably has a little sight there at the bottom. But again, light gold, if you want to say a darker straw color, that I wouldn't disagree with you there. So let's take a sniff of the aroma. Oh yeah, you kind of know your Pacific Northwest smelling this because you're kind of getting a little pine, maybe a little pineapple. So there's like that little bit of that tropical fruit, piney spruce tips type of aroma. The classic for those hops, you know, Cascade usually gives you more pineapple. So I don't get that much citrus. There is a little fruit here, a little bit tropical fruit, pineapple, but I'm not getting it really. Maybe there's a subtle grapefruit, just to have an idea, but not much. But I definitely get that pine, spruce tips type of, you know, evergreen type of smell too. You shake that Christmas tree up and you get that smell. Pine, you know, things like that. But very pleasant though. Very, very pleasant. And again, taking a look at it again here, it's even clearer. You can kind of see my silhouette through there. Okay, guys, so cheers. Let's take a taste of this. Wow, that's really good. One thing I noticed, it's very, let me just talk about some of the mouthfeel components. You know, medium to high carbonation. It's just like, you know, it's very crisp. It's very highly attenuated, I believe. You kind of get that crisp, you know, hoppy bitterness that hits you. You know, so again, with attenuation, remember, those are, when you have high attenuation, the yeasts have acted really on a lot of the fermentable sugars, haven't left a lot behind. Enough, I mean, there's still some sweetness here, but not so much that it's so cloyingly sweet. When there's low attenuation, there's a lot of residual sugars left over. It adds a lot mouthfeel. It's usually a little sweeter. Sometimes if it's a little too sweet, it's cloyingly sweet. You definitely get that pine again. Pineapple, tropical fruit type of flavor. There's definitely that moderate to pronounced bitterness. But again, it's kind of got that nice, sharp, you know, kind of like a Sierra Nevada pale ale that has that nice, sharp finish to it that, you know, kind of finishes very clean, okay, if that makes any sense to you. Really no alcoholic warmth here, even though we are at 7.5%. I usually start feeling it, but I really don't get too much of the warmth. So you don't get that hot sensation. So if you are getting alcoholic warmth, it's definitely not hot, like you're drinking some really, you know, like some New England IPAs and other American IPAs that are sitting at 10%. Sometimes just get a little bit too hot to drink on the taste buds, and it's not as pleasant. But again, a little creaminess. Let me just taste the, get the bitterness again. Again, most of the time when you're getting that bitterness from the hops, you let it sit on your taste buds for a good 20, 30 seconds, and you get it there. But again, it's no more than kind of pronounced. So it's very easy to drink, highly attenuated, I believe. So very simple, good carbonation, kind of that medium kind of mouthfeel, and again, not really cloyingly sweet either. So there's a nice balance here between the malt and the wheat that they use, as well as some of the hop bitterness, which I think I said was about 52 IBUs. So that perceived bitterness is, again, that more moderate to pronounced. But you definitely, you know, the malt, I didn't mention too much about the malt. When you get that white bread, wheat bread, which makes sense since it is brewed with wheat, a little bit of bread crust. I don't know the whole grist. You know, from the color, they may use a little, you know, a low Lovibond crystal malt, maybe 10 or 20, but that's just my guess. I don't know specifically because there is a little bit of sweetness and bread crust, graham cracker kind of hit from the malt profile. But again, very nice. I can see why this gets ranked so high. I'm actually surprised I've never had it before, which I said on the intro. What I pair this with is, again, with cheeses, I'd go with Manchego. any type of goat's milk type of cheeses, which would go good with nice sharp, even some very milder blue cheeses. I would go. I wouldn't go with really strong blue, but like, you know, nice moderate blue. Some cheddar cheese would go great with this. Would line up. You're getting that pineapple. You know, if you want to, you know, do it with like a burrata also, you know, maybe some of the tropical fruit with a neutral cheese like a burrata or a mozzarella would be okay also. Food dishes, you know, pretty much you can run the gamut with many different things I would recommend. You know, I'm not going to list every single thing. I don't, you know, analyze this before I do this video, but, you know, if you had some basic grilled chicken, barbecue chicken, some pork tenderloin dishes, you know, roasted, with some of the caramelization there, this would go very good with it. It has enough bitterness and carbonation to kind of cut through a lot of different things. And that's pretty much it, guys. So again, what we got is Lagunitas Little Sumpin Sumpin, pretty readily available. I see it at my local beer store all the time. I know sometimes there are other IPAs more popular, 7.5% alcohol, 52 IBUs, ranked very high, a mixture of 50% wheat and barley. But again, you know, you get that tropical fruit, piney, West Coast IPA type of flavor. So if you're looking for a fruit bomb with orange juice and grapefruit juice, this is not for you, like a New England or a hazy IPA. I would go that direction. Here I'd go with like classic American IPA / West Coast IPA style of beer. But very good. I would rate this good A+. And even, not that we're going higher than A+, but since it is so readily available, sometimes an intangible is that, you know, again, one of those beers that's great to have in the refrigerator all the time. You know, will you get something that dominates more with the flavor and the aroma at some of your local microbreweries that are really making these fruit juicy beers all the time with like mango juice? They're not using mango juice, but you know, the hops giving it kind of that mango juice, orange juice. You know, you can find those. If you enjoy those more, go that direction. But this is really high quality, a highly more mass-produced beer that you'll see out there. And I don't even know how much is paid. My wife picked this up, so I don't even know how much this 6-pack costs us. Probably the typical $12, $14 or so. So again, guys, I highly recommend Lagunitas Little Sumpin Sumpin. I'll probably have this spinning around at the beginning of the video. And pretty much it till the next beer dissection video. I'll see you guys there. Take care. Good night.